Now, the United States has carried out fresh airstrikes in southern Yemen, leaving an unknown number of civilians injured. Pentagon spokesman Jeff Davis says the strikes targeted Shabwah, Bayda and Abyan provinces. This brings to more than 30 the number of U.S. raids conducted since Thursday in the war-torn country. Davis also refused to rule out future airstrikes. Residents in a village in the southern Shabwah province say the attacks targeted civilian homes, wounding an unknown number of people. The U.S. routinely carries out drone attacks in Yemen and several other Muslim countries, including Pakistan and Afghanistan. Washington claims that the unmanned aerial vehicles target militants, but civilians frequently fall victim to such attacks. We are now joined live from Bali, Indonesia by Tony Gosling, investigative journalist. Mr. Gosling, it's very good to have you with us. So we have been witnessing an unprecedented wave of U.S. airstrikes on Yemen. In most cases, despite being claimed as precision strikes, they cause civilian casualties as well, and in large numbers. What do you think of such air raids and an intensification of them by the U.S. in Yemen?
Well, what the United States is doing is really just adding to the war crimes of Saudi Arabia. Since 2015, when this conflict started, we've had at least 8,000 killed, 50,000 injured. And really, this is Yemen is joined very closely to Saudi Arabia, of course, part of the traditional Arabian Peninsula. And to many people, this looks like almost like an internal Saudi squabble for power, even though Yemen has been a separate state. Traditionally, that whole part of the world, the whole of the Arabian Peninsula, was one country originally, until the British, of course, the colonial powers divided it up. But what's going on here really is absolutely inexcusable. The US has declared war on Yemen without actually officially declaring war. What they're doing is totally illegitimate, and I think should be condemned around the world.
Mr. Gosling, the U.S. President Donald Trump and the Defense Department Pentagon have been gloating about the success and effectiveness of such air raids and drone strikes on Yemen, which they claim are carried out against the Al-Qaeda. But at the same time, there has been criticism from some U.S. lawmakers and Trump critics who have questioned the value of the intelligence. Even the father of the U.S. Navy SEAL who was killed there, Owen, has called for an investigation. What do you think of that aspect of these air raids?
Well, yes, the Navy SEALs operation, just after Donald Trump was made president, disaster, and Trump still hasn't faced up to that fact. So this is just adds insult to injury that we're now getting US airstrikes here. Also, the conflict in Yemen is quite complicated. It's not just one side or the other, at least three sides. And what's happening is that the West is backing President Hadi. President Hadi is not only not supported by his own people, he's also outrun his term of office. So there should be new elections. That's quite obvious to anybody looking from afar. The trouble is the poor Yemeni people are finding it very, very difficult to fight back against this Western-backed assault by Saudi Arabia. Also, don't forget that the West is providing satellite targeting information. The RAF have got many personnel, scores of personnel in Saudi Arabia helping with targeting, but that isn't stopping the civilian casualties. So I think from certainly British point of view, if they're not helping to save civilians in this conflict, then those RAF personnel should be pulled out of Saudi Arabia immediately. Now, the Saudi King is visiting here in Bali, but there's no talk anywhere in Indonesia about this, certainly not on the Indonesian TV. It's all just about what a wonderful guy he is and how he's bringing investment to Indonesia. But I think all the time that this war goes on, with the Saudis effectively acting as a proxy for the US in Yemen, that is attempting to really break up any kind of state which opposes Western rule in the Middle East. That really needs to happen absolutely, as soon as possible. We really need to draw an end to this conflict, and there needs to be an open and elsewhere about who the Saudis are and whether their money is really worth it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gosling, for talking to us. Tony Gosling, investigative journalist, joining us live out of Bali, Indonesia.